I'm thinking of, I feel like every like Caribbean or like African or foreign kid has had this, but you ever like go to school with like chicken and rice and for lunch? And
I crack up at school when the kids are having lunch and you just see the different lunches and you just see the cultural differences in lunches. I'm like, I see what your mom did. That's good. You're eating good.
Yeah, oxtail. Yeah.
Wow, oxtail for lunch at school is a major win. Back then you may not have thought that.
I know, because you don't want to open your container.
And the smell is out.
Yeah,
no, that's a major win. I'm telling you right now, if you have oxtail for lunch at school, praise God. All right, welcome back to In the Midst podcast. I'm Debbie.
And I'm Kia.
And we're super excited yet again for you guys to join us for this new episode, the final one of the season, which has been amazing. It's been so amazing to have you guys join us every week as we, come up with all these different topics and discuss them with you guys, kind of be vulnerable and honest about our own experiences and have a lot of fun in the meantime as well. So yeah, we're super excited to do our the second part of our Q&A session. Again, make sure you guys are liking us and subscribing on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure that you guys check us out on Instagram in the Midst Pod, and that we're available on all major podcast platforms. So yeah, let's get into part 2, which is now going into some questions about culture and race, more about faith and friendship. So yeah, let's do this. Let's get into this.
All right.
So first question here is, how do you think we can do better for future children of color? Like in our that's how they wrote it, but
yeah. I get what they're saying, just like children of color in the future. Okay, so first one I think would be like, be a listening ear and like allow them to talk about their experiences, and also kind of tie in like celebrating the differences of culture. Yeah. So you have even had an experience being a teacher, like of like what it looks like when people are ignorant to different cultures, but just celebrating that and allowing children to come in as they are. Like I'm thinking of, I feel like every like Caribbean or like African or foreign kid has had this, but you ever like go to school with like chicken and rice and for lunch? And
I crack up at school when the kids are having lunch and you just see the different lunches and you just see the cultural differences in lunches. I'm like, I see what your mom did. That's good. You're eating good.
Yeah, oxtail. Yeah.
Wow, oxtail for lunch at school is a major win. Back then you may not have thought that.
I know, because you don't want to open your container.
And the smell is out. No, that's a major win. I'm telling you right now, if you have oxtail for lunch at school, praise God. Praise God.
Yeah.
Wow. Right? I want oxtail now.
But just celebrating and encouraging children to be proud of where they come from.
Definitely.
I think that's what it is. And just allowing an open space for them to come as they are.
Yeah. I would agree.
How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Absolutely. Let's talk about be happy and encourage those differences. Be like, it's, I don't know, just be happy to be different. Don't worry about, don't just celebrate those differences. I don't know how else to put it other than just celebrate those differences. And I also would say, how we can do better, as a culture, as a society, like you were saying, in schools, we still have so much work to do. It's not enough, especially in different areas where, in different areas where people don't see as many minorities, and when they do, they're just flabbergasted that people actually have different skin colors. That shouldn't be a thing. We have to do better. So definitely within society, we have a lot of work to do. We've done some good work so far, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
for
sure.
sure.
I think going into that as well, you being might not have been the best of experiences, but that's why representation matters.
Absolutely. Representation.
Exactly,
yes, exactly. Representation absolutely does matter. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but even because I supply, when I even go to different schools, and whenever I see and children of color see me, there is just this little inner kind of, girl, I see you, and they're I see you, to our boys too. There is just I don't know. It's really, really sweet. Like, so, like, I think recently, last week, when a little girl was just like, you look like my mom. And it was just so adorable. And it's just like, girl, I can be your mom today at school. Don't worry, I got you, good little girl. I got you. But I don't know, just those kind of things are really so necessary to, in different workplaces, especially with children, to hire more people of color so that they can see versions of themselves and know that, it's possible for me to be this too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Versions of themselves, and also see different versions, like people that are different from
Of course, both.
Yeah.
Exactly, both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, so the next question. So someone wrote in, you both have said because of living in KW, how there's very little diversity here. So if you could choose, would you have wished to grow up in a city with more diversity? And would you choose to live somewhere with more diversity now? Or are you satisfied in acidity? In a city that you are a minority?
I mean, a part of me would have appreciated definitely growing up in a place where it was more diverse. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I would have definitely appreciated that. Mm-hmm. But then there's a part of me where it's like where I grew up also had a part to play in who I am, mm-hmm. Who I am today anyways. So yes, in terms of the first part of that, like I would have definitely appreciated that, but I mean, you can't change that. So it's like, okay, it is what it is. And it made me who I am today.
Yeah.
Now the second part is, would you choose to live somewhere else with more diversity now? Oh, definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely would move to a city where there was more diversity for sure, and have my raise my family there, because I definitely want them to see that there is, they're not the only one, and feel like, just feel excluded and all that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because like I feel like talking about that, like KW now is very different from like when we were younger. Like,
KW is more diverse.
It's very different, but as like anyway, I'll go into that.
Yeah.
So I would have chosen, like, I grew up in, my first years were in a more diverse city.
Yeah.
So, and I came here, so I was able to see both. So yeah, if I could choose, I would have definitely stayed there. But then 100% grateful for the experiences that I was taught living here as well. And also it's just like, shoot, if I didn't live here, I wouldn't have congregated with all the other black people and made the friends. No kidding. But like, and also just other friends that have been raised differently. I have obviously friends from different cultures as well. Like, very grateful for that. But yeah, if I could choose as a kid, like I definitely would have loved to continue growing up in Toronto. And yeah, I would 100% move to a more diverse city. Like I said, Kitchener is not what it was when we were kids, and I'm sure even older people who are minorities even experience a way different Kitchener than we did.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, I still want my kids. It's not by force for my kids to be a trailblazer in that arena. Like I don't like no
for sure.
No, like that's like it's great and all, but I wouldn't mind raising my family in a more diverse city.
Absolutely, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, biggest lesson God has showed us in our walks.
Honestly, it's simple. Like, he doesn't work on my time, he works on his. And like, that's not a bad thing. Like, my time, I think that I know everything. That's what I've realized. And like, we're children of God, and like, as a child, like if we're gonna even relate it to actual children and actual parents, you think you know what's best for you. But I think just as time has gone on in my walk with God, I realize I don't. And then when things do happen for me or things don't happen for me, when I look back, I can realize, oh, that's perfect. Like it happened the way it should have.
Yeah.
I learned the lessons I needed to in his timing. So yeah, he works on his own time, and it's good to just trust that and trust in him.
Yeah. Honestly, exactly the same. Like his timing is perfect. It doesn't make sense then. Things may not have made sense then, but God works all things together for, his good and your good. So yeah, definitely the same thing for sure. Yeah.
All right. So we have a friend here stirring the pot.
Hey girl, we know what you try to do, girl, but we like it. This makes it layup.
I know. Okay. All right. So Deborah, what would you tell your past self about the Heather Lindsay approach before you tried it?
Shame. Just calling
names. My girl's calling out names. Or I guess the approach of not dating or looking at men the way approach. So I guess kind of what that means is like not dating at all. I think we touched on this in other episodes.
Episode 3, I think.
A little phase we went through. But like, yeah, not looking at guys like Tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. He's gonna fall out the sky.
Yeah.
So yeah. What would you tell your past self? How old are we? Like 23 and 24?
Yeah. Little spring chickens.
A little younger, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in terms of, oh man, what would I tell my past self about this? Like, this is just it's one of those things that is, I feel like, is part of your development.
Yeah.
It's just part of development. Like, at different points in life, you're going to hear and listen to different things. Like, and this can be applied with so many different areas of our life, where different opinions, like, especially as a Christian, there are so many different opinions within, the faith. And hence why there are so many different denominations. There are just so many differing opinions. And so this can be applied to anything. Like, you're going to pick up different things and you're going to drop different opinions along your journey of life. And I think as well, like, I guess what I would say is, like, too often we put God in a box, and we need to stop putting God in a box based off of our own limited knowledge. Even if you think you've acquired so much knowledge, you are still going to limit God, because God's ways are above our ways, His thoughts are above our thoughts. Like, you're not going to ever reach His level. You can't. Yeah. So I feel like it was just a way of trying to control, like, it's a way of trying to control the narrative. We're always trying to control. I feel like the reason why we listen to these things and we hold on to these things, like, with a grip vice, is because you want to control the narrative of your life. You want to be able to control how things are supposed to work. So it's like, okay, I figured out a formula as to how to get out of my singleness. So based off of what HL has said, I'm going to do this, and it's going to work out. And then God is like, ha! It doesn't work out.
Like, no.
God. Gosh, that's too funny. But honestly, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And not to say that it does for some people, but it doesn't most often. And it's part of the journey. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it is. Like, there are opinions that we've had even last year, 2 years ago, about faith, that I look back, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, why did I think like that? But it was necessary for my development and growth now. So sometimes it's like, what do I tell myself? I guess the only thing I would tell myself is stop putting God in the box and stop trying to control the narrative. Like, live your life, learn from your experiences, and trust God, and know that His plans are good. And that's not easy. It's easier said than done. But yeah, I guess that's all I would say.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. I would say, like, and even going off of, like, to even, like, we're naming a name, but this is not even bashing a person.
No,
because it's on me too. Like, it's not even about, like, someone can put out a formula, but it's on me if I choose to try and apply that to my life. So I have to take accountability for that. But I think I just realized, like, your walk in Christ cannot be conformed to one flawed person's formula.
Yeah.
They're flawed at the end of the day. Yeah, it might look all this and that on however they want to portray it, but they're still flawed at the end of the day. And that's not me saying, oh, it's not all that it seems. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying, it's like, even if it is all it seems, that's not my story.
Yeah.
So I need to trust God to write my story, and trust the convictions that He's placed on my heart, the values and morals that He's aligned on my heart that aligns with His word, and trust that He's going to lead me where He needs to lead me as I follow how He leads me.
Yeah.
As I follow like His word is a lamp to my feet, right?
Yeah.
It lights my path, so I need to trust Him in that. And also, just don't let anybody guilt you into a lifestyle. Like, that's accountability for that whole movement.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody guilt you into something because that's what they're doing. Like, if that worked for you, that's wonderful, but it's not going to work for the rest of the world, because same way God knows the amount of hairs on your head, He knows the amount of hairs on mine, and it's different.
Yeah.
So if it's going to look different that way, it's going to definitely look different relationally.
Absolutely.
So I just realized, like,
That's good.
stop trying to follow a flawed person because they're flawed like me.
Yeah.
That's why we have Christ. We're both flawed.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. Absolutely. And I think, like, even just off of that, it makes me think about, I don't know, sometimes I think we've had this discussion where you think to yourself, if I had not listened to Heather Lindsay, would I be in a different place now? Or, like, you kind of, it's like, so if I didn't do this, would I actually be somewhere else now? And I don't know, I feel like that's just something, like, people like to talk about in the faith. It's like, was that God's plan, or was like that choice? Did
that hinder me?
Or hinder, and I don't know, that's something, that's a really huge thing that you can go off on. But I don't know, I just feel like this was part of speaking for myself, it was part of my journey, part of my walk, and it's a testimony for today to be able to share that with you guys today. And if that's the case, then so be it, you know?
For sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, and also like just even acknowledging that there were lessons learned in that period of time too. It's not to write off everything. There are things I had to get left behind. But there are a lot of things that I learned that were fruitful to my walk. So I won't even discount that.
Yeah, no, but that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you feel tithing has been necessary in your faith journey?
That's interesting. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah.
So, little background. Like I didn't grow up going to church regularly. So, and I don't know. Like I just always kind of assumed like. Just like as an outsider looking in, actually not even like walking with Christ, I was just like, I ain't giving nobody my money, bro. Like I'm not giving nobody my money. But then when I actually got saved and like started reading the word for myself, I just realized the importance of like heart posture and like tithing and just giving and being generous in general. It works on your heart. It gives you a good heart posture, and it like God appreciates that. But I think there was also a point in time, like when I was in my really checklisty phase of Christianity, where I was just like, oh, doing this, check it off my list. Gotta make sure I tithe, check it off my list. Gotta make sure I do this, check it off my list. And then that also wasn't a good heart posture, because it wasn't me cheerfully giving. It was me like just saying, oh, well, I gotta do this. So I came to like a happy medium of realizing like, this is good to do.
Absolutely.
I desire to do it. Like I actually have the desire to like,
to give
and like,
build the
contribute
church.
to God's church, exactly, contribute to it, but also not beating up myself if there are hard times when it's tough and I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just what it is. It's just like realizing like, oh, if you miss a point of tithing, God's not looking at you like that's some nonsense right there. Don't let nobody manipulate you. Yeah. Anyway, how about you?
No, that's good. That's really, really good. I grew up knowing the importance of tithing. Like I grew up learning about that, and you know, say like, hey, you need to do this. So I do understand the importance of that. I think it's just also growing up and understanding, like, be wary of sometimes churches or establishments or whatever that may use that as a way to manipulate and control, you know, your finances in their own way for their own personal gain. So it's just like being wary of that. And then just ultimately that your heart needs to be in the right place. Like they say it all the time, God loves a cheerful giver. Like you do want to have a good heart posture when tithing. So yeah, I guess it's just like, just off of what you said, like everything you said was already hit the nail. Like I would completely agree with that. It's I think your heart posture needs to be in the right place. You want to do it because you want to actually build God's church and do that joyfully, and not just be like, I gotta do this again, like whatever. And then also, like you said, you're not getting beat up if you miss a day or if you miss something, or I don't know, if you're not always. Don't beat yourself up at the same time. Yeah. Ultimately, your heart posture is important, I think.
He loves you the same regardless of if you're going to do it or not.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There was a point in time where that was like, that gripped people in the wrong way sometimes.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
It was bad. It was bad. As if like we could like buy his love or something.
Absolutely. It's not transactional in any way.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. All right. So how do you keep a consistent schedule / routine of daily prayer and devotions? And do you have any favorite devotions?
Very, very, very good question. There have definitely been seasons where I've been on top of that, where I like have the desire to do it, and I'm like, yes, like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, have my time with God. And then there have been times where I've struggled, like very, like just the way I am, I can be very easily distracted. My brain can go off and start thinking about other things, and so I have to make sure I set myself up for success. So making sure I get a good, like, also whatever works for you. Like some people like to do their devotions at night, some people like to do it in the morning, right? So I like to do mine before work. So it's making sure I get a good night's sleep, making sure I wake up at a good, give myself a lot of time. Also just like having the discipline, like it's something that you have to cultivate. It's something that you have to work towards. You have to keep doing it so that it's part of your routine, and also just recognizing the benefit of doing that, of just actually spending time with God. And honestly, like coming to God when you are really, really struggling. Like every time I've ever struggled in my time of devotion where I don't feel like it, I'm like, I don't care at all right now. And I've come to God about that. He has always done something to bring me right back to him. And it's usually hard times when I'm like, Okay, God, I hear you. I'm here. I'm back at it again, Lord. Back at it again with you. So yeah, definitely trusting that God is going to meet you where you're at, and to just like keep pushing through and persevering. And it's just a good way to start your day or end your day or whatever. And also, like, don't beat yourself up. Like, don't beat yourself up if you're not doing it the way that you think you should do it or whatever. Because God is faithful, and he is going to, he actually genuinely desires to have a relationship with you. Like, think about the people you care about and love. You spend time with people you care about and love. So God wants to spend time with you as well. So kind of like thinking about those things as to maybe why you don't want to. I don't know, kind of think about why you don't want to and what you're going through in that time. In terms of like apps, I mean, I feel like everyone or most people use it, like the Bible app. I feel like that's a really, really good app. There's so many devotions on there. I love that app. You can do it with people on your own. They kind of have like little milestones as well. I really enjoy that. There's another app that has been really good to kind of put your prayers down and like it reminds you, is like Prayer Mate.
That's good.
Really like that app. I haven't actually personally used it in a long time, but that's just whatever. That's just because I found different things now. But that was helpful at a point in time. Simply journaling your thoughts down. And what's the other one? The light, like Streetlights. That one, I think we mentioned that before. It's a really, really good app because they share, like they read out the different verses, or not even verses, the books of the Bible, and they do it with like really nice instrumentals. It's really, really good. It's a really good app. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I would say piggybacking off of what you said, making sure that I wake up with enough time before work, because obviously you can do it whenever. You can do it before work, you can do it in the middle of the day, you can do it in the evening, but personally I like to start my day off with a devotional, or just like spending time with God. So how I how I typically get to start off my day, I guess, is just like listening to worship music. I like to journal, reading my Bible, and like journaling my prayers. And with that being said, I definitely have mornings where my brain is like in New York City, and like my body's like in my bed. Like I'm just not even there. I'm not even trying to be there. Like I'm not interested, disinterested, whatever. But just like being honest with God in those moments and just saying I can't focus. If I miss a day, definitely was a time where I'd beat myself up about it, but now I don't, and I just come back and I'll be like, hey God, hey, like I'm here again.
The bondage. Honestly, the bondage is so sad. That's terrible. Like that's for real. Like the way that you can get in your mind and think that you're not good enough because you can't even do a small devote or whatever it is. Like that sucks. That's not at all what God wants for us in any way.
No, seriously.
It's sad that we things can have a grip on our hearts like that.
Yeah, well, we thank him for setting us free from that,
big time.
Sure. Yeah, but just like, I think just keeping, like carving out time for intentional time. Like just making sure the time is intentional. Okay, if I'm going to do my devotion, that means I'm not going to be also doing other, like I'm not going to be running errands and stuff too. Like I actually, I mean, you can listen to your Bible as you drive and stuff like that. That's nothing wrong with that. But like personally for me, I'm like, I need that devoted time. And then also, like, what I like to do in like the spring, summer is I like to switch it up. So like with the Streetlights app, I like, or Bible app, I like to like go on walks. I like to go on long walks in the morning, just be in nature and have that playing in my ears and like be praying. That's that like is a really good way of devotional for me. I really enjoy that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then also just like doing devotional, and you can even do it with friends sometimes. Just do it with friends. That's really helpful as well. Let's say you guys are all kind of talking or going through the same thing or discussing a certain area. It's nice using YouVersion. Like use that and like discuss together.
Absolutely.
Devote time together. That's really helpful.
Absolutely. So, all right. So, how to honor celibacy, as you guys have said you are in today's day and age as a single woman. So they said you can answer this as a quick question or go deeper into purity. Like we might put this into like a deeper discussion in like
a whole episode.
Yeah, in a whole other episode in the future. Yeah. But so how do you honor celibacy in today's day and age? Yeah.
So before we answer this question, we're just gonna say we're not celibate. We're abstinent. Like there's a difference. So abstinent is like for more of a temporary time for us until marriage. Celibacy is usually like more permanent, and that's like also refraining from marriage. So like think like a Catholic priest, like nuns, or like Buddhist monks, like they're like celibacy is definitely more of a permanent thing. Abstinence is temporary. So that's like the first thing we wanted to kind of put out there. The second thing is it's not easy. That's like the first point. It's not easy. Made the commitment like almost 7 years ago. Crazy, but like almost 7 years ago, and there's definitely mistakes have been made. Like mistakes have been made. It's not been easy, but I think just honestly going back to my two reasons. There's spiritual reason and there's practical reasons. The spiritual one being, as a Christian, is God honoring, and that's how I choose to honor God. That's how I choose to honor God. And practically, it's good for me because He protects me through that. He honestly protects me through that. I realized like even before being saved, actually, like now that I look back, there was a season where I was practicing abstinence, and it wasn't related to faith or anything. It was just like I had like my heart broken at like 16, and then I was just like, well, I'm never doing this again until I meet the right boyfriend or something like that. And then I kind of upheld, like obviously like talked to other people, but didn't get that far. But then I was just like, never doing that again. And but then I met the right boyfriend. And it was a heck no. So, but just realizing like, how do I say this? Like, your mind can be protected when you're not like hypnotized by certain anatomy. Like, and I'll just leave it at that. And it's easier to leave the wrong person behind when you free yourself up to meet the right person when you're not just allowing that to be accessible to just anybody. You like, because you're worthy of that. You're worthy of that. And honestly, I know there are people who probably disagree with that. Oh, it's my choice. That's great.
Absolutely.
It is your choice. But my choice is to not do that. Like because for me, that's what I like. That works for me. And I've had protection out of that, and I've been able to have good discernment out of doing that, and think longer term. So that's the reason why. Practice abstinence.
And for me, very similar like kind of story as well. Almost 7 years as well, and it's hard. Like I mean, I would say actually initially, because. Like a lot of what you said was very similar. Like before I even was taking my own faith seriously, I had moments as well of abstinence as well, because it's like, of course, you get your heart broken and you're just like, exit out all men, and you're just, like I'm fine. But you know, like things happen. But then so it's just like 7 years ago making that decision, like okay, I am going to do this. And then finding it easy initially, but that's because there weren't any variables. There wasn't any temptations. So when
you're not dating anybody, then of course it's easy.
It's easy. Like, I mean, there's, it's easy. But then there were, there's times when the variables come in and there's temptations, find men, or whatever it is. And it becomes, that's where it's a bit more difficult. Like, absolutely, it becomes difficult. Like we're made, like it's part of, like it's human nature, like it's healthy reactions of your body, obviously. But for me, and like you said, it's like I want to honor God in this. I want to honor myself, and I want to honor my future husband. So because of that, I am going to continue to abstain and save that, like save that part of myself. I wasn't, but I'm going to save myself and do that now for my future. And like you said, there's so many different ways of protecting yourself, for real. Like I think that was a big thing that we would always discuss, is like it's easier because like when you experience some serious heartbreak, and because don't get me wrong, you can have emotional heartbreak without ever doing something physical with someone. Like it is very and the thing is, like we both agree, like we're the type of, like when I fall hard.
Yeah, seriously. So
I need it. So if I know myself that I'm crazy, like if I fall hard, I can't then add the physical aspect to it where mental anguish. I'm not doing that to myself. I'm not doing that to myself, and it's just that like you're not just getting access to me like that.
No, exactly.
And on top of that, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are men who will wait with you and then turn to be monsters later. But I feel like the abstinence journey has also helped to weed out crappy guys.
Oh my gosh, like left, right, like just
Who are-
by the wayside.
Who say they're I'm not even trying to be judgmental, but I'm going to be serious. Some of you guys who are like, oh, I'm Christian. Oh yeah, Ray Tay Tay. La ta 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 ta. You're saying nonsense, but you're bringing out your penis. Let me stop. I'm being serious because I'm annoyed, but it's good.
You're talking facts, so
you're-
just continue. Spit them. Spit them.
You're bringing out your penis for what? I thought you said you're a man of God as well. I thought you said you're trying to, oh yeah, they would say, oh yeah, God, da 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 da. And then they're sending you a picture where they're showing the V. What are you showing me? I'm ranting now. But no,
But ask them, because how are you gonna come one way and then you're switching up later? You were lying from day one.
imagine you're just like, is this God honoring in any way? To show the V? Like, honestly, like, how are you gonna be saying like, oh yeah, God this, God that? It's sounding very nice. Yeah. But then you're sending pictures of the V. How are you gonna be sending me, if you don't know, you know it's not all of it, but you're just saying, wait, why are you doing all of these things? Why are you doing these things? So I feel like
I'm gonna say something very rude, but I'm not going to. Sorry.
Tell me later. I'll say it now, we'll cut it out. Stop, don't, you know these guys, you know what they're doing. They know how to tantalize, they know how to grip the tie just like tantalize and grip the tie. They know how to tantalize and grip tie to me. I'm telling you though, the abstinence is a hedge of protection at that time.
Yeah, it
is. Hey, when I tell these guys, I'm not about that life, you know, it's till marriage. Like, I'm not gonna sleep with you till marriage.
The way they be fading out like Homer.
Yo, they be like, pew pew, see ya. Like they're gone. They're gone. I mean, and then there's some of them who will linger, but they're testing you.
Yeah.
They want to see if you are going to falter.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And when they see that you're not,
then they dip.
Yeah,
but bye though.
Bye. So it's been a hedge of protection, because for me, I've always told myself, like, I cannot handle giving my body to somebody and then them going to be dipping out and disrespecting me, or I can't handle that personally. So the person who is gonna get all of me is someone that I know is going to love and honor me. Yeah. Like Christ loves the church. Like, you're gonna do that for me, because I'm gonna reciprocate that right back to you. So it's a decision that is incredibly hard, but it's a decision that I'm like, it is going to be so worth it, because I trust that God is going to do an amazing thing through that. Yeah. Like, I mean, of course, like, I feel like so many times, like, purity culture, I don't know, has been discussed a lot. I feel like we do need to go into that at some point, because there's so much to say about that.
No, I'm actually excited for that future episode.
Yeah, thank you. Really good. Thank you to our friend who asked that. We really appreciate this. Yeah, it's good.
Definitely.
It's good.
All right. This is the second last question.
Is it the second last question?
Yeah.
Oh, there's two more.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh no, there's three more. I got you.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Two more.
So all right. So what is a verse that really speaks to you in your life right now, and what is a verse that you often go back to in hard times to help you get through?
That's a really good question. There's so many, and I feel like it always changes over time.
Oh, for sure.
And I couldn't pick just one. So in terms of something that speaks to me right now is rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be constant in prayer. Romans 12:12. I love this verse because having hope is such an important aspect of the faith, because if you don't have any hope, it's almost like you're going to be in a very dark place. Yeah. And we've all been in dark places, but having no hope is you need hope. You need hope. You need to believe that that good is still going to come despite every terrible thing that you may be going through. There are people who are like just going through the very worst situations, and it's to be having a glimmer of hope, to hold on to that, and to rejoice in that hope is such an amazing thing to say. And it's not like, with all of this, it's not easy, but still be patient in your tribulation, like waiting in that, persevering in that is part of building and developing character. And then just be constant in prayer. Like there have been times in my journey where I'm like, God, you don't want to hear from me again. I've already said this like 7 times. I've talked about this with you every day for the past month now. You're sick of me. You're actually sick of me, because I think of humans. We get sick of people. Oh yeah. I get sick of people telling me the same thing over and over again, and I'm like, but you're still doing the same thing. You know, like because I lack patience, I put that character onto God, and He doesn't lack that patience. He doesn't at all. He actually wants me to come to Him all the time in all of these things, and I love that verse. This verse, because It's a good way of practicing intimacy with God.
Yeah.
And then another one that I really love is the Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your desire in scorched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose waters do not fail. And that's Isaiah 58:11. Love that one as well, because God is always going to guide and lead you. When you feel like you're thirsty, you just can't keep it on, God is going to make you strong. He's actually strengthening you. He's seeing you through, and you're not going to fail. Like when hardships come again, you're going to be able to persevere and push through them because you've done it in the past.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and then in terms of a verse that I always love to go back to, just one of my favorites is, the Lord directs the steps of the godly, and He delights in every detail of their life. I love thinking about God, the creator of the whole entire universe, has already, before I was even born, already knew the direction He wanted to take me in. He directs my step, and then He also, I just think of Him just writing out my story and be like, oh, this is gonna be good. Just really happy and delighting in the details of my life and just how everything is gonna work out. I love imagining such a big God caring about the very minor details of my life. I love that verse. And that's Psalm 37:23. And then lastly, Psalm 16:11, you make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy, and in your right hand are pleasures forevermore. So yeah, I feel like it speaks for itself. But those are the ones that are right now and I go back to that I love.
Yeah.
How about you?
Those are really good. For me, I feel like they kind of tie in together, because it's I have one right now, but it's this is one that I've gone back to before. And then the one that I go back to also ties into right now. So I just picked two. The first one is Isaiah 40:31. So it's, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And that one, like I said, it works now, because it's just it's so funny how I lacked patience in the past, and I can just see what waiting on God brought to me. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for that, because He literally kept me from succumbing to my weariness in times of weariness. And I actually, I can just see what God has done in my life so far, and I'm so grateful for Him for strengthening me in times of weakness when I was just yo,
I'm throwing in the towel.
Yeah, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm tired of waiting on you. So, but yeah,
that's good.
That one right now, I'm just basking in that, because I can see it in fruition in my life. Something that I go back to all the time it's a popular one, but honestly one of my favorites, Proverbs 3:5-6. So trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Going back to trust. So if you haven't caught the ongoing theme here, I have patience issues and I lack trust. So yeah, all of my scriptures kind of, my favorite scriptures almost tie to patience and trust in God, because once I realize I have to actually trust Him with all my heart, surrender my fears and my desires to Him, stop trying to make it make sense in my own brain, because my own brain is flawed. My own brain wants to do one thing one day and wants to do the next day. Yeah. But when I actually just lean into Him and trust on Him, acknowledge Him in everything that I do, my paths are literally directed. It literally speaks for itself. So yeah, I go back to this all the time, because I see it play out in my life all the time. I'm just, those two really speak to me.
I love that. That's good. That's really good. What role does faith play in your relationships? Do your closest friends or boyfriend have to be believers, or does it, or I guess future spouse, have to be believers, or does it cause internal conflict if they're not?
Boyfriend, husband, we kind of touched on this, but boyfriend, husband, 1,000 trillion badillion % has to be Christian.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah. For sure. But you have to be, because I me and Debbie as well, and myself, we date intentionally. So I can't, and I'm thinking long term, so I can't be dating someone who doesn't share the same morals and values as me, because me thinking long term is family, is thinking legacy, is thinking all of those things. It doesn't make sense for me to date somebody who doesn't share those things with me. Yeah. Interests, all of those things, of course, that's secondary. You can have different interests. You might be interested in sports and Marvel. I'm interested in Gucci and Louis Vuitton. But and gold. But honestly, if we share the same values at the end of the day on paper, and we have the same ultimate goal, we're good. So boyfriend husband relationship, 100% Christian. Close friends, no. Like, they don't have to be. You can learn something from anybody.
Absolutely.
You have friends, we both have friends that aren't like practicing Christians or even believers in general. But of course you can. But I think like, I know if I'm going for any specific advice on life that is like really telling, I know who I'm going to. I know who I have to go to. I might be tempted to go to somebody who might tell me what I want to hear, but I know I should go to my Christian friends because God placed them there intentionally.
Absolutely. I completely agree with everything you've said. Like in terms of close friends, they do not at all. Like, of course, there is like my closest girlfriends, of course, they are like, and it's not to say that you can't have really close friends that are not. It's just for like my closest friends are all believers, and that's just how it's worked out, and I'm really grateful for that. But then I've made such amazing friends that aren't, and I love and I appreciate them, and they provide their own, like they provide value into my life, and I care about them for that, and I'm grateful that I can provide value into their lives. So that doesn't, there's no conflict in that. I don't think that's a big deal. But in terms of like a future spouse, everything you said, chef's kiss.
And I think also, just to even like add before we move on to the last question, is just realizing like, I think that's the importance of like maturing. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says. Like, you know, you can get along with someone who has different values than you. You can treat them with dignity and respect.
Absolutely.
So I think that is like something of maturity and like growing up and just realizing like, I don't have to agree with everything. Like, I can still learn from you. You can still learn from me. We can actually still get along and be friends.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Okay, last question for you. Have you ever had to cut off a toxic friend, and do you regret how you did it?
Honestly, no, not really. Like, it was just more growing apart. I've never had that experience of like, oh my, like we've talked about it in our first episode, like having friendships that were not healthy, but like, no, I never had to like cut someone off. It more was just like it grew apart.
That's
it, honestly.
I would say that too. Like, I feel like definitely mutually grew apart. I feel like there definitely have been abrupt ends to friendship, but I wouldn't call it a cutoff because it's communicated. Like, at least on my end. Like on my end, I've been cut off before for sure. No explanation for sure. And like was able to recognize my part in it, but then also to recognize that other people didn't want to hold themselves accountable. So, but there have also been friendships of mine that have ended abruptly, but I've communicated exactly why it's ending.
Absolutely.
So but ultimately it's just growing apart and realizing we don't share the same values. We're just not meant to go on, and there's no hard feelings. I don't have unforgiveness towards anybody in that area. So,
Absolutely.
All right. Wow. So that wraps up our first season. This was really fun. I really enjoyed this Q&A and like really enjoyed just like, obviously like we talk about this all the time. We always high five after we film, but like I really enjoyed just like doing this with you over the past 10 weeks. This has been so fun, and looking forward to rest. We're going to come back talking about that, but just looking forward to rest, looking forward to having a break and coming back with even better topics and just things to discuss with you guys about. So thanks for tuning in for the past 10 weeks. We'll see you in season 2.
Yes, take care guys. Bye.
Bye.